Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Sharon Lovegrove and I'm from The Sovereign Way, and I am a neurodirected hypnotherapist and mental fitness coach. And I help professional women with imposter syndrome who are stressed, overwhelmed, depleted, doing what they can to hide that they're not perfect, develop the mental fitness to take back control. I just want to make sure that I cancel something else. Take back control, reclaim back their life, and resume their destiny with power, purpose, and grace. I just was switching off my email there. So for today's talk on how to manage and put ourselves first, self-care and nurturing ourselves. So I know that I've been going through the cycles of happiness, which is really what I do within my program. But what we really look at over the year, so the happiness program is over a year where we go through each particular one of happiness, which we talked about how a powerful person simultaneously interrupts negative and installs new experiences super successfully. And happiness stands for harmony, activation, purpose, prosperity, success, happiness, I, influence, right? N, nurture, S, spirit, and S for sovereign, E for evolution. So each of those would be dealt with within each of those monthly kinds of compartments. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. What I'm going to be talking about is how to self-manage and put ourselves first in self-care and nurturing. So I know that some of you have listened to my live here in the group, and some of you may have even listened today on my live on my general page, and I think I posted it in the group as well. And both are an evolution of where I am at the moment. And I kind of had to go out, and last week when I did the talk on where we started to actually bring power in for Ukraine, I realized something in that moment is that I really, really, really want to be there on stage. I want to be there on stage because I just kind of get a sense, people, we're hearing stuff, we hear self-care, we hear so many things, but not enough of us are talking about the very big truth that all of us are ignoring. And that is our potential to create in exactly the same way that Jesus could, right? We are not hearing that part of the Bible, and we're not hearing that in order to change our life. And that's the difference. That's the difference. And I just think that somehow we must be hearing those messages. What does God mean? What did Jesus mean when he said, you are my brothers and sisters? You are my brothers and sisters in God. What was he saying? He was saying that we are God, right? He was saying if we have been created from God, we are the same as God. We are God. We have that potential to be like God. And if that's the case, how come have we not stopped the war? How come have we not changed the way we are right now? And I think it's because we are too much in our mind and not enough in our body, and we're not listening enough to ourselves. We're getting so caught up in the excitement of brain scans and all kinds of things, but we're not applying the knowledge. We're not applying the knowledge so that we can change things well. So last week I talked about, again, the idea that we were told in one other story right at the very beginning in Exodus, we were told the story about the parting of the seas. We had the situation where the Israelites were trapped They were on the shores of the Red Sea. They had the Egyptians coming up behind them, and they were pleading with Moses to tell them to, pray to God. Tell God, save us. And God said, why are you asking me? Get into the water. You know what to do. Get into the water. God was trying to tell them that their intention and their emotion is what changes everything. That's the story. All right. That's the story. As humans, we have got to remember. We have got to remember. So we can only use that energy when we have that single focus, that single pointed attention, when we go right into our soul, our body, and we actually activate the power, and then we can use it for the better way. So, of course, that's what the Israelites did. That's exactly what the Israelites did. They got into the water. They were mega frightened. And let me tell you, there is nothing, once you've got the water up to here, the stark reality is you're going to drown, right? So there's nothing that's going to focus you more than that. Nothing will focus you more than that. And it was that focus, the nothing, that focus of that imminent death is what was needed, what was required, because it harnessed the energy. It harnessed the intensity, the focus of the energy to move the wave apart. Now, of course, does the Red Sea have, kind of disappear? And apparently it does. But not often. Otherwise, we would call it a natural, regularly occurring phenomenon. No, it's rare. But it has happened. So it does mean that there's something deeper going on. There's something that we're missing the trick. We're missing it, and we're not utilizing it. Anyway, I digress. But the problem is for us, we got caught in the superstition. We got caught in religion. We got caught in all sorts of stuff where we gave our power away. And we couldn't understand how it happened. Even though Jesus showed us in his miracles that what he could do, what caused the Pharisees to get really upset. And actually, really, they were the ones that conjured up so that the people would actually get Jesus crucified. But he showed us the miracles. He fed the thousands with his 2 fish and his 5 loaves. He changed water into wine, the best wine ever, as my partner said to me today. Well, we know he was a pescatarian, and we also know that he might have drunk. I thought, oh my God. I had a good giggle this morning when he said that to me. So I thought, well, I'll share that with you because it was quite funny. Anyway, but we have to really understand that, we couldn't understand what Jesus was doing. We couldn't understand. Those people couldn't understand. They could not understand what he was saying. They just saw this awesome person doing all these miracles, and it didn't matter what he was saying. Yeah, because they weren't at the state of level of consciousness enough to really understand. He was the manifestation of the Old Testament. He was the next phase. We are the next phase. So the next phase is technology, seeing in the body, being able to see how things work, to be able to do things. But we still haven't listened. Because we're so busy trying to reduce things down that we've moved away from integration. And that's how science has worked, unfortunately. And we don't apply science necessarily together. And I know as a nurse, that's exactly what I experienced a long, long time ago. But today I did my live on the Ho'oponopono, as I had been tasked to do. And of course, I do the Ho'oponopono regularly. And in fact, I did it once where I actually had an emanation of Christ come in front of me, showing me with his heart that this is the right action I must take. And this is the way that we heal and help the world. And I showed a drawing, which wasn't great, but I wanted to just kind of bring it in because I wanted to show you that I'm not a good drawer like you, Shelley, and I know that you're on here. So, but I wanted to just do that because I wanted to talk about this process. And so the Ho'oponopono is an excellent, an elegant version, a powerful version for me on self-care. All right, so we're getting all the way back, full circle. I started to talk about stuff. Now I'm going up the circle. I'm completing it. We're going back to self-care. So, and yesterday in one of my affirmations, someone said that my affirmation was probably more of a prayer. And I kind of think maybe she's right. Maybe they are prayers. But then we kind of look and think about, prayer and the Ho'oponopono. We often think, why doesn't prayer work? Well, prayer doesn't work because we're not praying properly, I just say. An affirmation is kind of like the other part of the prayer, right? It's the other part of the prayer. When Abraham Hicks talks in the talks on her programs, on their program, what happens is they talk about the vortex. We need the prayer and we need the affirmation. The vortex says, you know what? It is done. If you've envisioned it, it's possible for you. So if that's the case, you've got to be able to have the prayer that's going to activate that. But you have to have affirmation and prayer. And in a way, that's what the Ho'oponopono does. It has a neurological pathway, but it also does immense self-care. And how does it do that? How does that prayer work? All right. Well, when we have the Ho'oponopono, what are we doing? We are going towards ourselves. We are going towards ourselves. Instead of being in shame-based meanings, we are going towards ourselves. We are saying to ourselves, I love you. Even though you may be talking to someone else and saying, I love you, you are hearing the words, right? You are hearing the words. So when we say to God, I love you, we are hearing the words, right? And the hearing of the words activate the parasympathetic nervous system. The words themselves, the tonality of how we vibrate when we say, I love you, that vibration automatically also activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the new system, all right? And then we say, please forgive me. What we do is we give ourselves, we give all of us, we give us, all right? So we give ourselves to ourselves. And then we give ourselves so that we can be nurtured. And when we say thank you, the kingdom has come. Because we've given ourselves to ourselves in the kingdom. This. So this is what's so important about giving self-care to ourselves, because it makes us feel whole. It completes the circle, all right? What we spend so much of our time, I'm going a bit of peace now, we spend up so much of our time actually looking outside, but very little inside. Yeah, very little inside. And if we think that our outside world is matching our inside world, can you imagine what's going on in the world? All our outside world is connecting to the inside world of all of us. So this must be what is causing the problem. So pure and simple, if our outside world is chaotic, our inside world is chaotic. So self-care is a way to hold ourselves so that we can heal ourselves, we can soothe ourselves, we can clean ourselves and become whole again. So, so when we're whole, what does that give us? When we feel we are whole, it makes us want to give more. It makes us want to give up more. It makes us want to create, but it also gives us the ability to withstand difficulty, It allows us to move forward, and it gives us courage. It gives us courage. It gives us willpower. It gives us everything that we need. I'm talking about willpower because right now I'm on the set on another day of my 5-2. So it is taking a bit of willpower right now. So, but I'm doing some self-care. So when we know that self-care is so important and everybody's telling us, why don't we make it a priority? Why don't we make it a priority? If we knew that we could just ask for our needs and they would be met without any obligation, argument, ridicule, rejection, would we ask? Would we ask and just say, hey, because we'd expect we'd get it, wouldn't we? We would ask. Yeah, we would ask. We wouldn't feel threatened. We would just ask for what we wanted. Well, I asked the question, so when our body is crying out for love and we're not giving to ourselves, why are we not doing that? Why? When every inch of us is crying out, it's telling us we're stressed out, we're not thinking very right, we're kind of, our skin is breaking down, all sorts of things are going on. Why aren't we attending to self-care first? We don't, because of fear. Yeah. So that's the problem. Our experience of fear. So I know stress sits right at the heart of everything, and fear causes us to be distressed. And the problem is that, our experience or social construct is where our needs are not met, we got hurt. So when we didn't get what we needed, when we didn't get to feel safe, we got hurt and we had to manage. So we built saboteurs to help us survive. And saboteurs did help us get through things. Oh yeah, it did. But it did it from a negative energy or a low frequency resonance energy. And that is what pulled us down, caused us to kind of disconnect from our feelings in a way that's helpful. And worse still, probably, we really underestimate the need to belong. The need to belong. We desperately underestimate it. And it's our nature to be connected because we still have this evolutionary body, right? This evolutionary body, and we need connection to be safe. We are wired for connection. We are wired for safety. And we're wired to belong so that we can be safe and secure. But the problem is our saboteurs make us choose it incorrectly. And so we end up making the wrong kinds of decisions that actually, cause us to disconnect from ourselves. So one, we have a judge that absolutely keeps the ball rolling and it judges us about ourselves, others, and the circumstances. And then we have our extra judges, our extra accomplices that actually are the kinds of like the lessons that we have to learn. So kind of like how did we move from being a judge to a people pleaser, or to being hyper rational and just kind of separating and not believing in emotions, or being hyper vigilant and always kind of anxious and worried, or being a perfectionist, or an avoider, or a controller. Each of these were formed always because we felt safe. They are our clothes that we wear. They're the clothes, they're the facade that we jump into when things are hurting us. Yeah, but it's not us. It's not us. The us is that wounded child. The us is the wounded child that can only feel safe or think it can feel safe by jumping into these kinds of alter egos, right? So it jumps into those so it can feel safe. It can feel in control. It can feel in power. And if you're an avoider, well, actually it's the same thing in a way, because by avoiding, you stay safe. You kind of go towards yourself and you learn to only trust you, right? But if you kind of are one of the people that are kind of like a bit of a victim, you will go towards people and try and let them kind of mollycoddle you in a way that's unhelpful, right? So they all will create something about going towards belonging on some level, either belonging to yourself or belonging to other. But most of it is to keep in a group, to keep safe. So safety is so important. And women intrinsically, because of the way we are constructed as we evolved, we know this and we need this. In fact, you know, humans evolved in out of a body, right? We evolved rather than we were created, right? I know people said blow some clay, but no, actually that's a story. It's a metaphor for how we were formed. Yes, we're all of the earth. Yes, we are intrinsically of the earth, but we came via evolution. And the evolution meant that we came with our body. And we didn't have the brain that we have now. We didn't have the higher cortex that we have now. That kind of had to grow through time. But women, you know, and so we developed traditional roles. Male roles based in testosterone made them bigger, stronger, more muscular, more able to go out and hunt. But also it meant that they spend more time and they do a lot of grunt, right? Try and get a man to talk. No, grunt, grunt. Okay, so a lot of men don't actually do a lot of talking. Women are pretty good at that. But women grew mainly in tribes because we needed other women to help us pick the berries, help us with our children, help us deliver babies. Yeah, so we needed to be part of that structure, whereas men, they went out. There was no structure in the same way. And so therefore, we started to make things about ourselves, right? So we know that we have these traditional roles, and we also know that we have different reference points, okay? So when we want to self-actualize, we are in a space where we are now in a challenging situation. You know, as the human race is now, we're now in roles that are not traditional, right? And we have this desire. We're excited because we've activated the left side of our brain. We've activated the cognitive side of our brain. And now we've got a taste for it. But we don't have a reference point. We've got this cognitive brain that's gone into this, and we're in a masculine paradigm, a masculine orientated paradigm. So as women, we feel very, very challenged. Our body is challenged in that paradigm. So it stresses us out. And this is what imposter syndrome does. So I kind of truly believe that imposter syndrome is purely having gone into this masculine paradigm. And we are activating a lot of our testosterone and our cortisol because guess what? Our body is stressed out. And, you know, testosterone is good for men. They've got more muscle. They don't feel pain as much. Research shows us absolutely. But as I said, women evolved in social groups. And so we had to know our social place, right? And we also needed to experience the disgrace when we fall from grace, right? So we basically began to feel and equate our social comparison where we were in the group, which is status driven, unfortunately, and we became ashamed. And when we're ashamed, we don't perform well. We don't perform well. It's a paradox. We are ashamed so that we behave, but then the consequence of that is we don't perform well. And I put a post up just before I started on this to talk about some of this research that's out talking about stress and how stress affects cognitive functioning. So I've talked in previous talks about the 3 power centers, the power center of the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, which are highly activated in women, because we know that estrogen encourages the interregional connection in the brain. So we have many different regions. We have 7 lobes, right? And we have a lot of connections between those, and so do men. But it's between the lobe, between those little regions within the brain, like the occipital area, frontal area, temporal area, parietal area. Yeah, each of those regions, within that region, interregionally, there are far more connections that actually relate to women. And that means we have increased sensitivity, particularly in our soma, in our body, and right in the area of those power centers, which means they get triggered. They get triggered for women much more intensely than they do for men. So we have to find a way to make our body safe. And that means we must do for ourselves what we do for others. We know how to stand up on the behalf of others, right? But women very seldom, because of culture, stand up for themselves, right? It's called selfish. You're being selfish. You're taking care of yourself. And how many times have you or I heard that statement? Oh, you can't lie around there. That's selfish. I hear it so often. And, you know, women excel in caring, particularly if they've had kids, but we don't excel in care for ourselves. And when we live in a culture that is judging us and gaslighting us, and we then gaslight ourselves because we tell ourselves lots and lots of lies. So how do we heal? How do we heal? Guess what? Yes, we come back to ourselves. We presence ourselves. Ourselves is the gift. Our presence is the gift. It's a present in the presence of ourselves in the present moment. Yes, it is that. It is the antidote to shame, because we are saying we do not reject you. I do not reject you. I love you. I care for you. You are worth it. And as I said, shame takes us into distress. It makes us withdraw. It makes us lose connection with ourselves. It literally, the testosterone, increased testosterone, diminishes the effect of our soma body. And that means we can't function well, because women are really very intuitive. Yeah, we're intuitive. We must feel, because we make a lot of decisions from that feeling center. And when we lose that connection, then it's really tough for us. It's really tough for us because we make wrong decisions. So the key ingredients is all about making connection. What lets us reconnect is to turn towards ourselves and fill our own cup. And then we can fill others, because we know that when we are full, we are generous. We are generous and loving. So we must develop a fierce protectiveness towards ourselves. Being fiercely protective towards ourselves is the only way forward. Because when we nurture our mind, our body, we tell it we matter. We tell it we are important. We tell it we are worthy of being protected, of love, supported, championed. Yeah. We tell it we are loved. Even if the outside world tells us we're not, doesn't matter. When we have our own back and we look after ourselves, we are better for others. And isn't that really the antidote to war? I believe it is. Imagine if Putin had grown up in a society where love was the core. Imagine if we all grew up in a society where instead of Christ on a cross dying for salvation, we actually had the emblem of a woman giving birth to new life. Can you imagine how the world would have been so much different now? And I do believe it would have been very, very different. And this is it. Yeah, this is it. We have got to rebirth our world. We've got to rebirth ourselves every day. And we have got to look after ourselves in such a way that we can feel good. So I thought we'll just do a very big power center exercise today, just so that we can get it done in a way that you can feel and experience it. And I'd like you to just do that with me now quickly. It'll be 5 minutes. That's it. I'm not going to go any longer than that. So you can hold me to that. So let's just do that. Just put everything aside. Take a nice deep breath in and out. Raise your eyes to the top of your head. Feel the eye strain. Feel the eye strain. Yes, really feel the eye strain all the way to the top of your head. Taking a deep breath in and raising your shoulders. And then as you breathe out, relax them, looking up, looking up, looking up. Yes, that's it. Good, good, good. And then breathing in, raising your eyes, making sure our eyes are there. Feel the eye strain, lifting your shoulders, keep looking up, and then just relaxing your shoulders on the outward breath. And then on the last one, as you raise your eyes, look up, look up, look up. And then as you breathe out, let your eyes rest, let them relax. And I want you to just for a minute, go down to your hips and just really plant yourself in that area. Breathe into that area and really feel it, really feel it. Let that energy get really deep and strong. Just really breathe into that area, blow into that area, blow as you breathe in and out, blow through that area, blow out, heating your fanny, heating your fanny, heating your perineal area. Just keep focusing and just let that warm, really let it warm, let it filter up into your stomach and into your solar plexus. And then what I'd like you to do is just imagine the energy moving out to the edges of the room. And then I want you to think about something that's stressing you out. Just think about whatever's stressing you out. And just for a minute, locate it where it is in your body. For many of us, that'll be in our chest very often, but it may not be. So just get a sense where it is. I want you to get a sense of how old that feeling makes you feel, right? So often when it's fear, the feeling is very young. That doesn't mean you're not experiencing it as an elder person, but it's a feeling of you when you're very young, generally. So what I'd like you to do is to just get a sense. You may get an image of you that's very young. You may get an image, oh, something else. Maybe a shape, it may just be a color, it may be a symbol. Just kind of notice what comes up for you. And I want you to just allow yourself, as you observe this part of you, I want you to bring online that part of you that is wise, that is sovereign, that part of you that knows how to stand for your children, how to stand for your friends fiercely, possessively, fiercely in the possessiveness of that love, of being able to stand there and go, I'm here for you. I will help you. That kind of one that is open to discovery, open to learning, open to taking action. And I want her to come forward. And I want her to see that part of you that's scared. And just let her ask that part, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? And it may just be, I'm feeling scared. And so just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge, okay, I can see that you're scared. Witness it for her. Most of us don't get acknowledged and don't get witnessed. Witness it for her. I can see that you're scared. Ask again. What are you feeling? It could say something like, I'm just tired, or I want to give up, or it's just so hard. And just respond and say, yeah, I can hear that. I can see that. Don't try and fix it. Don't try and change it. Just allow her to know that you are comfortable with her discomfort. You are comfortable in hearing her pain. You are comfortable. You are here to witness. And then ask one more time, 3 times. What are you feeling? And just acknowledge that. Whatever it is, I want to be loved. And just witness that. I can see that. Yeah, I absolutely can see you want love. Don't fix. Just acknowledge. You know, as an adult, how powerful it is to just be seen. And then you can ask, what is it that you want? You can ask this 3 times. What is it that you want? And wait. You may say, I want to be held. And you can say, yeah, I can see that. You might even say, I want to smack that person. And you can acknowledge that too, of course. You can say, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. I can see that frustration. I can see that hurt. And ask again, what do you want? And whatever comes up there, you can write these down later. And just acknowledge exactly what it is that she wants. Really hear it, really feel it. Could be, I just want to lie down. Okay. Or I want some good food. Okay. I can see that. That'd be a great idea. I can see that. And then when you're ready, just allow yourself to feel the energy from that lower part of you, that center, just go up and cover and surround that energy of that part and bring her into the fold. If she wants to come and become part of, that's okay. But it may just be that she just it just wants to be kind of surrounded and looked after and held outside. It doesn't matter. Just do that. And then do a drawing and post it in the chat. I'd love that. Let me know how this exercise went for you. Okay. So come back. We're nearly done. Just allow yourself to put in the chat what it is that came up for you. Did anything come up for you? How are you feeling? What's happening in your body? And if you're doing this on the live afterwards, I would really love you to do that. It would be so good, because just sharing and witnessing each other is such a powerful gift and something we can truly give to each other. So just put in the chat. Okay, so if any of this resonates and you would like to find out how I can help you, why not book in for a free Sovereign Way breakthrough call? They are free. They cost you nothing except time. And in that call, we'll explore what's getting in the way of having greater health, wealth, happiness, and sovereignty in your life. I'll put a link in with this live. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on today so that you can share this with me. And it is really, really, really beautiful to have the opportunity to serve you. So thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, I need to find a way to go off. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.